Meeting to order. You have a copy of the minutes? Any additions or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion they be approved.
Motion for approval.
Died for like a
Second.
second. Okay. David, all in favor? Okay. It is unanimous. You have a copy of the transfers, if there's any questions on any of those? If not,
Motion for approval of the transfers.
Mr. Prather? Mr. Parker, all in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. You have a copy of the bills and one hand check. Is there a motion to pay the bills? Mr. Hughes,
Second.
all in favor?
Judge, I'm going to recuse myself from any Parks and Rec that may be in there, please.
Okay. We need to note in the minutes that we had clerk fees of $100,017.18, and sheriff fees $35,464.66. And the next item on the agenda is the discussion and possible vote on the Legacy Trail funds. We have had two extensive discussions on this in the past. And Christie, I guess, just to bring us up to date, you are a spokesperson. Tell us exactly what we'll be voting on.
What we requested is a $25,000 from the court as seed money to get $100,000. I'm sorry. $100,000 from the Transportation Alternatives Program for the from the federal transportation, and we already have $25,000 pledged from the city, and that will allow us to apply, if we get the $25,000 from the court, apply for $200,000 and possibly more, because we will have in-kind from Dennis Anderson at the Emerson Farm and in-kind money possibly as part of the soccer fields. So we may be able to apply for more, and that will allow us to build, at least get started on the trail, and possibly a mile, approximately a mile length, and we did bring the board back, and a trailhead that includes restrooms, and those restrooms will service the soccer fields as well. So it goes past the elementary school, which allows the children from the school to be able to ride on the trail. The soccer fields could make use of the parking that it will provide, as well as the restrooms. And so that's where we are. And I do want to say that I wanted to address something that Stuart Hughes had asked about the cooperation from the horse park.
Yes, ma'am.
We've made contact with them, and they know the importance of it, and they have, Austin Kerr, who's the head of their foundation board has been for years, has assigned us one of the people from the foundation board to meet with us sometime in September, so we haven't heard the date yet. So, and then once that meeting, then obviously we'll have to go to the whole foundation board, but they're going to put somebody on it right away.
Chrissy, right now, from the diagram shown to us at the last meeting, is from point A to point B.
Yes.
Basically in the park area, and that is also in that application will be the restrooms.
Yes.
That would be incorporated. Under that condition, I'll start out, I know there'll be more discussion, but since it's all in Scott County we're talking about in that area, I make a motion that we approve the amount requested.
Second.
Second. Further discussion.
The question, I guess, Ms. Robinson, is with the trailhead being at point A, is this money going towards A to B?
Yes.
Is this money is going to help build that section with the restrooms and the parking? And we're not talking about, the tunnel is not in this money.
No. The tunnel may never be involved, as we said before.
Right.
If it proves to be unsafe in the future, it may never be involved.
But
But it's not involved in this, absolutely.
And that's my, the core question I have is I don't want to do something that's going to one location. As long as this is something that's open and we can go up Lyle Road or there's some other alternatives. But I just have a problem spending the money to go to the horse park when, one, we don't have permission there. I think that's important. If it's the development from A to B, then I think that answers a lot of questions for me.
Any further discussion? Wait, Alvin.
I still have very serious concerns because the presentation last week at the workshop showed that the tunnel was still the ultimate goal of this location. And I have very serious concerns about the safety of that tunnel. I came across an accident with a bicycle and a vehicle this week. Just happened up on it just as emergency services were arriving. It was at an intersection, traffic was slowed down. And this was not a person with a bike suit on. It was a casual rider probably. And that's my concern in this tunnel. It's not you guys that ride regularly. I'm sure it would never be a problem. But we're asked to encourage casual and recreational riders. And it just scares me to death, the thought of putting them in the tunnel with those trucks. Because I mean, it is not a good option. And I've not been convinced that that's not the ultimate goal of this project. And I cannot, in good conscience, I just can't vote for funding something that's going to increase pressure to use that tunnel because I'm that scared of the safety issue there.
Well, just let me say that we spent $58,000, almost $60,000 on that feasibility study, and the experts did the study. They chose the preferred route based on everything they studied, and they really, if you read that thing, they looked at every possible route to come. That was the most logical, the cheapest, the most viable way to do it. Now, that doesn't mean we have to do it that way. That's just from the studies they did. Before we would ever use that tunnel, I'll just say this again. Once we hire a construction company, they first do a design study before they do any constructing. That design study will tell us if it's safe, if any place is safe or not. If it's not safe, we can't use it. We'll have to raise money to build a bridge over I-75. I mean, we do understand that.
The one thing I would like to state, and I think maybe some people don't understand, is I have not had any conversation with the Bartons, who are the property owner that also use that tunnel and who have the granary back there. I have not had any contact with them and not talked to them in a number of years, as a matter of fact. So this is not about they're for or against it. It's about the safety issue. My concern all along is that $25,000 in seed money we're using is from A to B and not to study or not to furtherance of the tunnel, use of the tunnel.
Any other discussion?
Christie, I do want us to acknowledge Mr. Lyons' concerns and keep our eye on the ultimate safety of this feature. But I think in terms of quality of life and real economic development, this will be a plus. I think this Legacy Trail extension and what can occur in Scott County can become part of Scott County's identity. And I think it's right in line with the values that we espouse.
Jeff?
One thing, Judge, I would like to say, being a court member of the small area study plan, Joe Kane was there also, and Megan and myself, and at that time Earl, and we talked about alternative routes and whatnot. And I know we keep going back to the tunnel and whatnot, which is owned by the state, and I totally understand all that. But I've talked to Christie also, and I know that they're going to look at all the routes there are possible out there and do the safest thing they can with all this. And one comment I'd like to make, I'm sure your late husband would like to see the support you have here today.
One of the things that I keep in mind is what we've done on the park that we have at Brookings Park. And one of the things that we did do was have restrooms built down by the playground area. And that taxpayers, we spent somewhere right close to $100,000 if I remember. If we're spending $25,000 to help get the grant, and there's a possibility of having restrooms put at a park that has just hundreds of people going to it, I don't see it as anything but a win-win. But that's one of the points I brought up, the fact of being A to B. We're total winners in that way, no matter how it turns out.
But we do want this to be the safest venture that can be possible.
We can do it.
Absolutely, the safest possible.
Call the roll, Stacy and Bill. Move on. Start with me, if you will.
George.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Alvin.
No.
Chuck.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Yes.
Bill?
Because of potential conflict that someone may think there is, I'm going to recuse myself. I don't really think there's a conflict, but
Okay, it passes.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
We're ready for, I'm gonna skip down on the agenda and let you folks present the, any questions for the Workforce Investment Act. And Judge Wilson, if you want.
I thought everybody was here for us, Judge.
I don't think so. Sometimes we get booed.
I won't take it personally, that's fine.
I'll ask the judge to bring us up to date on what we're voting on, and then we'll
Okay.
be prepared to vote. I think everybody knows, but
Yes, sir, yeah. First of all, thank you for having me back again. This is on the amended interlocal cooperative agreement between the 17 counties that make up the Bluegrass Ad region. And this will help reform the workforce investment area and how we administer those programs by essentially giving this local control in a more democratic process. So there's not been a whole lot of change since last time we were here, other than I have had some discussions with Kevin Atkins with the City of Lexington, and we are on the agenda for Tuesday, September 23rd, for their Health and Human Services Committee. And I've had some emails between Kevin and kind of myself and Chris Ford, who chairs that committee, on Lexington City Council member. So you all are number 16, and hopefully Lexington will be number 17 sometime in October.
does anyone have any questions for Judge? Glenn, you need to read that. Not the whole thing.
We'll be here until Christmas.
Yeah.
Let me just read the introduction, and then I think we'll be okay from there. This is, as Judge Wilson has indicated, an amended interlocal cooperative agreement. Counties of Anderson, Bourbon, Boyle, Clark, Estill, Fayette, Franklin, Garrett, Harrison, Jessamine, Lincoln, Madison, Mercer, Nicholas, Powell, Scott, and Woodford. This amended interlocal cooperative agreement is by and among the aforementioned all bodies, corporate, politic of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Whereas the Kentucky Interlocal Cooperation Act through Chapter 65.300 permits local government units to make most efficient use of their powers, enabling them to cooperate with other localities on the basis of mutual advantage, and to thereby provide services and facilities in manner and form that will best accord with geographic, economic, population, and other factors which influence the needs and development of local communities. And whereas the Governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, pursuant to the Workforce Investment Act of 1998, as such act may be amended, has the authority to designate the geographic area encompassing the above-named Kentucky counties as a workforce investment area. And whereas the parties recognize the serious and complex problems resulting from the unemployment and low wages among their citizens, and whereas increased workforce development problems and solutions transcend traditional governmental boundaries, and whereas a productive workforce investment system can most effectively be created and expanded in partnership with the private sector. And whereas the parties wish to realign and increase the effectiveness of the area's workforce investment system, its local workforce investment board, and its fiscal agent. And whereas the parties pursuant to the act desire to enter into this agreement in order to provide the formation of the WIB and to provide for the roles and responsibilities of the local elected officials, the chief local elected official, and the subrecipient of grant funds, as such terms shall be defined herein, and all be consistent with the requirements of the act and state law. And whereas the parties desire to replace the current interlocal cooperative agreement with this amended and restated interlocal cooperative agreement. And it has the terms that I think everybody's seen.
Yeah, I think everybody has been through this several times. Do you have any question for Judge?
I just a comment. I'm ready to move forward with this. I mean, these are services we need, obviously. And while there's still some serious questions or I guess concern about this going forward properly, I think we do need to move on with it, but I certainly will hope there will be regular reporting back to the local governments so that we know what's going on and there won't be any of these questions in the future.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Magistrate Lyons, that was a great point that you made at the last meeting, and I relayed that back to David Dutlinger, who's the executive director of the ad, with the suggestion that they begin that process, because most of the questions that I've had as I've traveled around these 15 counties with Mayor Bertner so far, and the only questions we've had are really not in regard to this, it's in regard to the questions at the ad. And so I think the ad probably does need to do a better job about communicating what they're doing and the progress that they've made.
And with that said, I move to approve the
Is there a
agreement.
second?
Second.
Hughes?
Just one comment. I do want to thank Mayor Bertner and Judge Wilson for the large amount of time that you've been willing to spend in Scott County helping us understand this, particularly the time after our last court meeting, Judge. That conversation helped a bit. Just to echo a bit what Magistrate Lyons has said, our questions, I think, focused on our awareness of how important workforce investment is to our future, and a concern that in the past, the workforce investment program may not have been as effective as we needed it to be. So our questions were rooted in those concerns, which after conversation, I'm now convinced that you all share those same concerns with us. So there is a need for us to move forward. The reporting, I think, will be essential to maintain that confidence and to build that trust level back up with some of the ads activities. So after the investment of time, I'm prepared to support this as well.
Thank you. And just to be clear, we do support and share your concerns, Magistrate Prather, and that's exactly why we're spending all this time, because this is too important to just let it fall to the side.
Any other
Thank you.
questions or comments? All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Y'all have a great day.
I need to sign it right now?
Well, let me just pass it on to the clerk. There's
Yeah.
a certification, and I'll leave my business card. If you have any questions
Okay.
on what to do with it, we can follow up later on.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don has been short an electrical inspector for some time and expecting to be short another one with retirement. And he has a recommendation for the court. Don, you want to make a recommendation? Come up front and center.
Yeah, I had one of our inspectors, Mary Malone. She retired about a month ago, but she had been planning that retirement for probably a year and a half. And we did advertise in the local paper, advertise in the election paper. They're not standing on the corner out there looking for a job, inspector. We had 3 guys that took the test. All 3 failed it. This gentleman that I'm recommending today, he up until about May, I think he was an inspector for the state electrical inspector for a year and a half, and he was an inspector for Sandy Jones in Lexington for a while. And he heard Mary was retiring, so he came here and asked if he could fill out an application and apply for the position. And he is well qualified. And he has a lot of experience, and I think he will be a great addition to the office. And so I would like to make a recommendation to the court that we hire him if it's y'all's wishes.
Bobby, you got a name?
Bobby Whitaker, I'm sorry. He lives in Lexington.
And the salary that we,
Yeah, the salary was, I think it was $32,760. That's $18 an hour plus benefits.
was $17.50 an hour, wasn't it?
Huh?
$17.50 an hour, would
I think
It says 18.
it was
it?
18.
Was it 18?
18, that makes $32,760
Okay.
based on a 35-hour work week.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. But what's the person he's replacing, what was she making?
She was I think she was probably about, of course, she'd been with us almost 15 years, up to about 40. So it's going to be probably about an $8,000 to $10,000 savings just on salary and benefits.
And let me add, I was my normal thorn in the side self and asked for a resume. Just to, because it is something that we're sharing with the city, and that we have a copy of it. So if the city says anything, we can show that this person is qualified I showed it to Mr. Prather earlier, and this person is very qualified, so.
Yeah, I think the 1750 was if it was an 8-hour day, wasn't it? When we talked about that, the salary is the
Very
same.
possible, yeah. I did get on the internet and I did poll, I think about 8 or 10 cities across the state. And the average starting salary for an inspector, and we averaged out, was about 36. So, you know, we're a little considerably lower, but he agreed to it. And the benefits, I think, was the selling point for getting him here, and he was real impressed with the county's benefits.
Now, one thing that, and you pointed it out, our benefit package negates a difference in salary oftentimes.
Sure.
Because it's worth, even if you got a family, it's worth about $10,000 a year. So benefit package causes us to get a lot of employees. So we're proud of that.
And I like to start, if it's good, it's okay if we all approve today, I like to get him started Monday if that's.
Yeah. If they prove it today, he can start, but he has to get with Jane and.
Yeah, sure,
Karen.
I'll send him up here.
Do we have a motion? Any further questions?
I'm going to recuse myself because Mr. Hawkins is related to me by marriage.
Okay. All in favor?
One question, Judge, does that mean I need to do that also?
It's up to you. Okay, he's hard. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, guys.
Jerry?
Judge, I'm gonna step out on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Judge, Court, how's everyone today? I'm here to request the approval for the bid for the RecPro software that will replace our current software, which is called Safari. Our current software is 8 years old, and as you know, in IT terms, that's a dinosaur. So, and we're having a lot of trouble, and it's no longer supported technically through the vendor. So we did get our specs together. We consulted with Sophisticity and sent the bids out, and we got the bid back from RecPro. I keep wanting to call it RecWare because we've had that for 12 years, but it's actually RecPro, and the pricing was $33,280. Some of the things that this program will allow us to do that our current program will not is it'll increase our marketing efforts. It'll offer online registration, which will be huge for us. Tracking inventory of supplies, it will actually do that for us as well. We hope that it will increase membership retention by alerting the staff when someone's expiring, and that way we can get out notifications earlier than what the system now does, because it doesn't automatically flag those for us. We'll be able to put all of our programming and rentals into this program. Right now, we still have to do the books with the shelters and things out at the county park, but with this program, we'll be able to incorporate everything into that system. We'll be able to track and print demographic information for marketing purposes, and it'll also allow us to send out email blasts. So we're really excited about it. It did come in under the $35,000 that was budgeted for the project. So everybody's going to save a little bit of money by $860 city and county. So, but like I said, it was for $33,280.
It's the total amount, and then our responsibility would be the 50% of that, correct?
That's correct, yes. And it was budgeted through the capital.
Any questions?
I'll make it. Okay.
Just, how does this software and its purpose differ from the software upgrades we did with the licenses we did in concert with the city?
This is the one that we actually runs all of our membership tracking and those things at the pavilion. It is specifically for a recreation facility. It is specifically for it. It will allow us for league registrations, anything like that that we do, which the city obviously, it tracks our memberships, it tracks the visits as they come in and things of that nature. So it's really for that facility. But with the expanded amenities they've got on it now, it's going to allow us to use it for all parks and recreation instead of just the pavilion.
So you've got the other platform for general accounting and general
That's correct,
computer
yes.
needs. And this is specifically recreationally oriented.
That's correct,
And
yes.
you mentioned a marketing function
Mhm.
that should be able to help
Right.
you all.
Our current system does not have a way to retain emails and things of that nature, so, but this does, because when we register you into the system, we automatically ask for that email. And once we have that in there, it will allow us to send out email blast, and we can pull for particular classes. If we know you're only interested in this, we'll send that email pertaining to that class to you. Or if it's something to do with the whole building, like we know we've got a swim meet coming out, we can let all of our membership know that the pool will be closing early that day through email.
Well, and it's, the more you all market, the less the burden on the taxpayers. So-
Absolutely. That's the hope, absolutely.
Judge, I make the motion that we pay our 50% of the total cost of the project.
So second?
Oh, I got you there.
I'll say it.
A question,
Sure.
Sherry, on the Sophisticity operation, is that working relatively well?
Well, I think that we all knew there were big challenges going into it because everyone's kind of behind on the IT. We have made great advancements. We still have a lot to do, and I think Jennifer would agree with that as well, but it is moving along. I will be honest and tell you, I'm not the person with the knowledge to stand up here and say that, you know, it's great, everything's done. I do know that we have had many upgrades made to our system.
Well, you may not be the person to do that, but when you try to work through it, if you have problems, you obviously will know. And
Yes.
this is something that we spend a great deal of time on. with
And
the
I will
city.
say that, you know, when we have had issues and we call the help desk, they're very helpful and do respond in a very quick time for us. Now, as far as having the techs on site and all, with everybody sharing, it's like we're all trying to get our 2 cents worth in before and not get shortchanged. So they're very busy, and it is taking time to figure out what's going on.
Was that a second when you raised your hand? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you, Sherry.
Thank you all.
Chair, grab Bill. Didn't leave him out there.
Why not?
You get the school tax. The fiscal court is obligated to receive the school tax, and they have sent their tax rate to us, 47.6 cents per hundred for real estate, 47.6 per hundred for tangible personal property, 47.6 per hundred for aircraft, 47.6 for documented watercraft for tax year of 2014, and 54.8 cents for motor vehicle tax. All we have to do is receive it. Let the minutes show that the court received that, please.
You have all the tax rates in there.
I think that's all of them, yeah, so we can do the tax bills, I'm pretty sure.
Probably have to set the tax rate, I guess, as a combination of all.
We need to vote on it. We voted on all the others that we accepted them. If we need to vote that we accept, we received it.
That was it.
Okay, we need a motion that we did receive them.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Health insurance agreement. The health insurance agreement with Peel and Holland has been faxed or emailed to everyone. Is any questions on that? They're working on getting the quotes for next year's health insurance at this time. And we should be getting that shortly on our new health plan. And, but we need to sign this agreement or not sign it. Need a motion to authorize me to sign the contract if this is the wishes of the court. Mr. Hughes, Mr. Prather.
Judge, I'll second it just with a comment. When we began this agreement with Peel and Holland, we had some pretty high expectations. And I know they've worked well with us, but it might be beneficial for someone from Peel and Holland to give us an update of what they see they've accomplished on our behalf during the time that they've been engaged with us. We approved the contract with great expectations and would love to hear the report from them.
One of the things they did, Tom, and we had a meeting with the department heads and the magistrates were invited, going over more of the wellness program and things, and I think you're right. The big question is what the new health plan that we get come January 1st. But our loss ratio has been in excess of 100%. So we can't expect, I would hope, but I can't expect it to go down simply because of the loss ratio. But they're looking, and even if it goes up, they may be doing a great job for us. So I'll ask.
I think Mr. Prather's right, though.
Yeah,
It'd be a
we
good
can-
opportunity for them to come and address not only the fiscal court and the department heads, but the community.
Yeah.
And let them know where we would be without them possibly, and how going forward they can help make us more efficient in this very costly expenditure.
What I think we need to do is wait and see what plans they have. Wouldn't you agree?
And let them present at that time?
Yeah,
when they-
yeah, that would be, and I'm sure they'd be glad to do it, so we'll do that. Did we get a motion? A second. All in favor? Okay. Unanimous. We have 3 resolutions. The first one is Resolution 1411 for, that was the flex money, wasn't it, JR?
Yes.
On Elk Lick Road. The state, Glenn, did you have the resolution?
I do. And this is the agreement for the paving of Elk Lick Road. The total project, $109,174.
One thing, that's a portion of Elk Lick Road, because Elk Lick Road's about 4 miles long, and that's about $109,000 worth of it.
That's 1.5 miles.
That they're doing, and the road's about 4 miles, 5 miles long? 4, okay, so that'll do a portion of it.
This is a resolution adopting and approving the execution of a rural secondary program agreement between the fiscal court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, and accepting all roads and streets referred to therein as being a part of the county road system. Be it resolved by the fiscal court that fiscal court does hereby certify that all roads and streets referred to in said agreement are county roads as defined in KRS 178.0101B. And the fiscal court does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said agreement. Does hereby accept said agreement, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated. And the county judge executive of the county is hereby authorized and directed to sign said agreement as set forth on behalf of the fiscal court of Scott County. And the county clerk of Scott County is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto. And it has a place for the vote and the signature lines.
Need a motion?
Sir.
Mr. Hughes, Mr. Parker, any questions? All in favor? It is unanimous. One thing I was talking to JR about, and I think we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to not transfer, but amend the road fund budget, because we have gotten about $600,000 more in state money than we anticipated, and that's a good thing in order to, another thing, you can only spend 60%, I believe it is, of any budget that we have before December the 31st. That's in case you have a new court, you can't spend all the money. So we'll look at the budget come when we get this money in, and we'll amend it to show the increase in, it's almost $700,000 that unanticipated. Well, it was anticipated, but not in this amount. So it's a good thing, and we'll look at that when the money comes in. Of course, you don't get the money till you spend it. It's a reimbursement. We have another 2 interlocal agreements that have been completed, I think, to everybody's satisfaction. We need to pass a resolution first on the animal control interlocal agreement.
That's resolution number 14-12. a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between the City of Georgetown and Scott County for provision of animal control service and authorizing the judge executive to sign all relevant documents. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court has considered an interlocal agreement between the City of Georgetown and Scott County for the provision of animal control service, and whereas the county is desirous of entering into said interlocal agreement pursuant to the provisions of KRS 65.210 et sec. Now therefore be it resolved by the Scott County Fiscal Court, Section 1, that the interlocal agreement between the City of Georgetown and Scott County for the provision of animal control service is hereby approved by the Scott County Fiscal Court. Section 2, that the judge executive is authorized to execute the interlocal agreement and any relevant documents on behalf of the county dated this 12th day of September.
Now, that has been passed by the city. They passed it Monday. It's got the changes in it that we talked about. Two main things. One, the court agreed to charge them for 2 full-time employees as opposed to 3, so we reduced the 2 half-times, which made a total. And the enforcement by the, with the support of the Sheriff's Department and the city police. Those were the 2 main things, and they're incorporated into the interlocal agreement. So I need a motion to approve that resolution. Mr. Parker and Ms. Hoffman. Is there any questions? Not, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. We also have completed the resolution for the electrical inspection interlocal.
This is number 14-13, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement between the City of Georgetown, City of Stamping Ground, City of Sadieville, and Scott County for provision of electrical inspection service and authorizing the judge executive to sign all relevant documents. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court has considered an amended and restated interlocal agreement between the City of Georgetown, City of Stamping Ground, City of Sadieville, and Scott County for the provision of electrical inspection service. And whereas the county is desirous of entering into said interlocal agreement pursuant to the provisions of KRS 65.210 et sec. Now therefore be it resolved by the Scott County Fiscal Court, Section 1, that the amended and restated interlocal agreement between the City of Georgetown, City of Stamping Ground, City of Sadieville, and Scott County for the provision of electrical inspection service is hereby approved by the Scott County Fiscal Court. Section 2, that the judge executive, is authorized to execute the interlocal agreement and any relevant documents on behalf of the county dated this 12th day of September 2014.
That's another one that we have been following for probably the last 25 years, but it hadn't been documented, so that's the formal procedure on it. Any questions on that?
Make a motion.
Mr. Prather? Any que-
Recuse myself from this one as well.
Okay, you don't have to leave. All in favor? Okay. Stewart recused himself. It was
Judge,
unanimous.
just to comment on the interlocal agreements, good things come to those who are patient. But there has been a lot of give and take on these 2 agreements.
absolutely.
And the process, while lengthy, has worked. And I think it's good to get the city and the county on the same page on the ones that we've passed so far.
That's a good point, because we spent a lot of meetings, and the truth of the matter is, we're right back where we started, doing it just like it should have been done, and except for the
We have
animal
got
control.
Good, solid agreements in place.
Good, solid agreements, so, you're correct on that. The old jail down there has a lot of junk surplus property that you have a copy of, and rather than read off all it, if there's any questions on it, we need to declare it surplus and allow them to junk it. Maybe they can get some money out of it, selling it as junk, I don't know. But you see the list. I need a motion to declare the surplus property that is listed in the old jail basement, the Arts Center, as junk, and let them discard it. Mr. Hoffman, any questions? All in favor? Dan, you want a copy of that? You can have it. That's all the items I have on the agenda. Does anyone have anything to bring before the court? David?
Just
Got a couple of things real quick. The, one of the national EMS conferences is coming to Nashville in November. It'll be the 11th, 12th, and 13th. I'd like permission to travel. Don't know if it'll be all 3 days yet. I have to look at the cost, but our billing provider is going to give us some complimentary exhibit hall passes as well. So that'll decrease some cost on that, but it'll be that week.
Only cost you have is getting up there and back?
Probably a lodging one night and
Oh, okay.
travel back and forth, and then whatever the conference fee is. I just wanted to go ahead and get permission to travel. It's just to Nashville.
Motion? Any questions? All in favor?
I do have a quick question. Just the vendor hall passes, is
Yes.
that, and I guess my question is directed to Glenn, is that okay for us to receive those from the vendor as complimentary or free?
Is it a vendor hall pass for all vendors? Is that what it's?
For all vendors.
Yeah,
So you've got a group of vendors. This is provided
This
by the
is
conference.
from our company that provides our billing service for members to attend the
Basically, they're gonna
exhibits.
have ambulance vendors, cart vendors, supply vendors, and they're all in booths, and then David and whoever else goes with him would be walking through to see different vendors, and that might solicit us in the future for our county.
What's that word?
Probably $50. I don't have a face value.
You know, if it was the vendor providing a pass only for something that they had an interest in, David, I would have a big problem with that.
Okay.
But with it being a vendor's hall pass where all vendors can be contacted and David can compare things, I don't know that they're getting any advantage there for.
Okay.
for what
Possibly,
he's doing.
possibly even some of their competitors would be
Right.
in that room.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
I would absolutely guarantee
I
that.
just want to put it out there
Good point.
because
Yeah.
it was mentioned. I just want to make
Understand.
sure that.
I think it's an
Understand?
excellent time to discuss that, but because, as Mr. Hughes has accurately pointed out, you probably do have competitors there, so
Right. Okay.
I don't think there's any advantage from what you're telling the court in one vendor giving you a pass as opposed to the others, because it gives you access to everybody else.
Everybody's
Okay.
same thing.
We've done that in the past too with FDIC.
Right.
One of the fire truck manufacturers gives us a pass, and again, if it's in Indianapolis, you're talking about it takes a day to get through all of the different oil arenas, so you're definitely not just looking at their stuff, you're looking at this, and that usually is probably about $50.
Say $50.
Keep in mind that should David attend and should something come by way of that conference that's going to be advantageous for the service, you still have to approve it.
Right.
So it's not up to David to purchase something on his own. He'll make arrangements to sign some type of a contract. So
Okay.
you've got another layer of protection there too.
Private, in our business, I'd take the passes all day long. I just want to.
Well,
I agree. I
I think
understand
you're
what you're
correct in
asking.
asking that, David. That's a great
Okay.
point.
Second thing is the power stretchers are gonna be delivered on Monday. We'll get those in service next week. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Thank you, David. Anyone else? Mr. Livingston?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand go up. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to reiterate, I support the trail project. One thing I want to point out, that is just the first of what we hope to be a system-wide thing, multi-county. We had a meeting yesterday. Woodford County is now applying to be a part of it. There's been some discussion in Franklin County. And so this is a major multi-county project. Rob Rumpke with Bluegrass Tomorrow was here this morning. So yes, the tunnel is a concern, but let's not let the tunnel get in the way of the big picture. I think those things will work out. The other thing I'll say is that let's not forget that horses need to be included on the overall plan. Bicycles seem to be the predominant part, but the goal is the horses be included in the thing as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
What I was going to say on that too is please do not let us fall behind all our contiguous counties. I don't want another contiguous county jumping up with a tremendous plan that we could have done here and they get out ahead of us in doing that.
at this
I
point.
mean, that,
you know,
you understand what I'm saying.
I understand.
I don't want somebody to have something that we could have had.
At this point, we're leading the charge.
Okay.
We've got a couple of stumbling blocks that I just sent a message yesterday. The WMA here in Scott County. It was purchased with some FILO money that doesn't allow horses and bicycles on it. And I'm going to go to the Fish and Wildlife guys and say, hey, folks, we'd like to revisit this and see if we have any luck. Of course, the reservoir is also one of the keys to this thing being a success. We've got a lot of things that we're trying to link together. The horse park, I might tell you that, John Nicholson had been to a lot of our meetings, and some of his staff people have been to a lot of meetings. They were in on the loop. But for whatever reason, there wasn't any communication going on between John and folks like Austin Kerr. And then when the thing came out in the paper, it was news to Austin Kerr about the trail coming through the horse park. Well, it wasn't our fault, but I got involved in it. Edith Conyers, who's one of my close friends, is also Austin Kerr's personal friend. So I talked to her, and we got her feathers smoothed out, and she understands. And they had a meeting in Frankfurt with her boss in Frankfurt on the horse park, and the intent is they're going to allow us to go around the west side of the horse park, have a double fence with locked gates, so the users won't be able to go into the horse park, which I find a little bit of regret to that, and maybe we can work out something. But that's the way they're headed now. So anyway, just one step at a time. And so we got a lot of links, but your point's well taken, and I'll keep it in mind and yell at you, David. But I feel good about it. I've gotten involved on the state and national level. I'm now one of the executive members of Backcountry Horse of America, and so I spend a lot of my time messing with this kind of thing, and I'm enjoying it and having fun with it. And this, I guess, you'd have to say, is my baby, because it's right here out my back door. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
If you eat at the lunch table at Flava's, we can keep up with Roy's itinerary.
David?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah. Bill? No 4 or 5Ks this week?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Glenn?
Nothing wrong.
Stacy? Oh, we're going to have a surplus auction in early October, and we must, JR must have the list. Must. So if you got any surplus property, be sure and get it so we can declare it surplus and move forward with it. In fact, we probably need it before next fiscal court meeting. Any other? If there being no further business, we stand adjourned.